welcome to a very special episode of Cosmic Road, where we are joined once again by a friend of the channel, John Stewart. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jack, thank you for having me back. Hello to my cosmic family. I know I've not been that engaged with you on YouTube as of late because of all the editing with the alien interview case closed documentary coming out on Thanksgiving. But
When is it coming out, John?
Okay, it's Thanksgiving, 11/28. Go to huntingvictor.com to get the link. I know it's $8, and I'm sure not trying to bust any wallets here, but yeah, it's been just our editor is not in Chicago, and I'm going to try and talk really normal and softly in this interview. So, but our editor is not in Chicago, so it's been a lot of back and forth, Texas, and then you really don't understand people or the concept sometimes. My fault when you're texting. So it's been an ordeal, but we're done. The documentary was downloaded 3 days ago. It's getting downloaded to the Decast streaming platform. So we're excited, and the editor likes it. And just a really creepy note. And I'm being honest, as I've always been with your viewers, Jack. And I've got the text message. I get the text from the editor. She's editing the alien interview film. And she says, and I've got the text, "Hey, John, while I was editing it, I noticed the skin around the being's eyes move and the
Right.
entire shape of the eye moved. Dot, dot, dot. What is going on?"
Yeah,
Well,
no, those
it's,
little micro movements around the
yes,
eyes are what
yeah,
really sell it. I
yeah.
mean,
And,
absolutely.
and I credit Andrew Burlington in 2014 in England that really, told the world about that. Like, didn't say it was real, but he told everybody, no matter how difficult of a personality he has, but he did tell everybody in 14, wait a minute, there's like many movements around the eye socket. The eye changes shape. I don't think animatronically a low budget production company would install the devices, if I can use the correct vernacular, to make that happen where it only shows up when you hyper examine it 25 years later.
Yeah, you have to
But
squint
anyways,
to see those movements. You really
yeah,
do.
yeah. So very weird. Just wanted to let you know. But it's in the can and it's ready to go. So we're excited.
Nice. Well, okay. I mean, I know you wanted to share some new information with the audience today, but I see this is like a victory lap for you. Not only do we have the awesome Casper site interview you did that I
Yeah.
think got a lot more eyes on your research
Huge.
information, had a
Yeah.
huge impact. Then there was the Daz Smith led remote viewing of the alien interview, which
Incredible.
corroborates the interview very nicely. And Richard Dolan was on that debriefing, and he took it very seriously, and he was persuaded by it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jack, in my old pro wrestling days, they called it the rub. If you wanted to get a new talent over in a territory, you would put them in an interview or something with the top guy. And I
yeah,
and I really felt, yeah, like you get a new guy and you put him in an interview with Hulk Hogan or something. It's called the rub. And I really felt that Richard did the honors and gave me the rub that that on that podcast with Daz Smith and remote viewers. I mean, Richard was stupefied. He was stymied. That they were talking about a tan alien, a being that was sick, not wanting to be there. The no man zone, which was the nuclear field by Papoose Dry Lake, a controlled landing, partition, which we know the being was behind allegedly a glass partition. So it was really fascinating. And Richard Dolan was just like, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say other than I think it's true. I think it's
yeah,
authentic.
and consistent details among the viewers of the crash
Yes.
retrieval, the
Yeah.
the humans in military garb being taken to some
Yeah.
facility, some military facility,
Yeah.
and it was just consistent across the board. It was an amazing
Yeah.
viewing. What was
Amazing.
it like for you waiting for the results of that viewing to come in?
Well, it was like waiting for Christmas, right? You know, and when we got on the session, they asked people like, "Well, John was interrupting." Well, they asked me to. They're like, "If you hear something, break in and tell us, hey, this is, uh, this is what, you know, I experienced, or this is what is in the actual video." So yeah, I mean, when I heard a tan alien, I literally, and I know I use this all the time, I fell off my chair. When I heard about the no man's land, which, Rick Doty, Jason Sands, Michael Munoz, three guys that all said they were around Papoose Lake and S2 Alpha, said they had to wear the dose meters, the nuclear
Yeah.
pens,
Yeah.
yeah, to show. So that blew my mind. The woman that said about the cloth, like a burlap sack or like a woolen dress wear. Well, we know that the two monks allegedly were there in the room. And then she said there's some kind of emblem or amulet in the middle of the chest, which I would assume would be the crucifix of Christ that the monks were wearing. Um, the controlled landing that all five of them said they felt sorrowful. They felt that the subject was in distress and was desperately sick and not wanting to be there in captivity. And all of them saying the same thing. And I think, and Richard and I have talked about this, is the bombshell is this electrostatic that some of them picked up. And we have been told by the security guard, whether you believe him or not, who came out, Connor O'Ryan, in 1990, that said he was a security guard at level 1 and 2 down in S4, that they would rub their arms with Vaseline and put it on their hair because some of the crap discharged to the still, even not being in operational use, discharged static electricity so much that it would make your hair stand on end. We had another person that said, I think that monitor was picking up electrostatic discharge from the beam, that green blip. And the fact that this woman was feeling that electrostatic discharge was amazing. And then Jack, the bombshell, the one woman said, I'm seeing like a radar screen with the green blip. Well, that was it.
Yeah,
Even
no,
Richard Dolan.
they were seeing so much, and they
Yeah,
were all
it was
corroborating each other.
right. And all they
Double
did,
blind
everyone,
viewing conditions.
yeah, double blind, which means all they got was a number, a set of numbers, and that's it. And they all came up basically with a roughly the same picture. So I think it's historic. I think it's just by God, it's just one more like crown jewel in the crown of this alien interview being authentic and not being some elaborate hoax. And it was amazing night for me to experience that with those people.
Well, I'm really glad we got that information, and I'm so glad that people are starting to take it more seriously.
Yeah.
What do you think is the next step?
Well, I think people are going to see the documentary. I think they're going to go after Victor, which I don't, which is, I'm having an existential crisis about that. I don't want to ruin this man's life. He did nothing wrong except do something very heroic and courageous and bring this film out, even though he was a little bit of a jerk about it. He was very combative. But I don't hold that against him. And I'm having a huge problem, Jack, with the one naval admiral that is still alive and retired in Virginia. Jack, I consider you a good friend, and I just want you to know that I was very respectful during the filming of this documentary in regards to Victor, but mostly important to the men that were in that viewing room, especially the rear admiral that was there, that I emailed back and forth and he ghosted me. And I made mea culpas. I looked in the camera. I apologized to anyone that will experience any uncomfortableness or difficulties after this documentary. I apologize to the families who weren't Victor, who weren't related to Victor that I thought they were. And I thought that was necessary because I had sharp elbows investigating this, and especially the mastermind whose name was Joseph Yeager, which I've talked about before. So I apologize to a lot of Yeager families in America that I upset and whatnot. So so I just hope that there isn't a bad blowback, and I don't think there will be. I mean, I ask people to respect the privacy of these individuals, and I just expect people another Jon Stewart, to pick up the ball and continue the investigation. Well, analyzing the film more, maybe getting Victor to talk. So let's hope it's a good outcome. I have high hopes that it will be, and another Jon Stewart will come along and move the ball further down to the goal line.
Do you think there's any hope of getting any of the participants to come forward publicly? Is that a pipe dream?
Well, there's only the widow, Victor, and the rear admiral alive that were in this room. Oh, and the monk, who's still alive, but there's no way to get him to talk. That's impossible. I don't know. Maybe when it all comes out and it's all regurgitated on the table publicly by the Department of Defense, maybe the rear admiral will feel more comfortable to maybe make a statement. You know,
Well,
I hope so. I hope so.
that'd be amazing if you did. I would
Yeah,
love to, cement this in the public's mind with,
yeah, because yeah,
a person that they would, respect and,
yeah, yeah. We show him talking like in a DIA promotional video because I didn't realize he was also a director of the DIA back like a couple of years ago,
yeah,
and
I,
it
I didn't know that
really
either.
it yeah it really Jack. It's when that section happens. When you see him interview and he's talking about, you're going to be like, "Oh my God, this is not a John Stewart imagination. This is a real high class, intelligent, you know, uh, off, admiral from the Pentagon." And it really, even the editor said that's a really powerful moment. Yeah. So
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait
yeah,
for your documentary.
yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. And this is hopefully going to be gangbusters and get a lot of eyes on this,
I hope so.
and hopefully recoup some of what you put into it,
Yeah,
uh, and more. Uh,
yeah,
but I hope this isn't the end for you. I hope you continue investigating and getting the word out, and bringing up other interesting cases like the Lockheed Martin
yeah.
JSOC firefight, which I find really fascinating.
Would be nice to go to that site and with the metal detector and see if there's any bullet cartridges. I'm serious. I know the exact spot within within about a mile. That would be really neat to rummage around because it's just south of a ghost town, believe it or not, in northern Nevada. So yeah, that would be interesting, and try not to get in too much trouble out there. I'd like to go to like some old alleged crash sites like Cape Girardeau, Missouri, the one in St. Augustine, New Mexico, I believe, where the Spanish, the American, the Spanish
Conquistadors?
nationality. No, he's a Spanish nationality, and he actually took a alleged piece of metal from this crash site, and he said that the beings were walking like humans, and I mean, I'm sure they cleaned it up, but I would like to go to that. So I'd like to do my own little John Stewart, little private tours of some of these crash sites, and just see if there's anything that anything that we can find. So we'll see what
John
happens.
Stewart on the road. There you
Yeah,
go.
right,
You've
right,
got a show going. You
right,
got
right,
a show. I love it.
right.
Okay, well, I know you wanted to talk about some new information. Did you want to
Yeah,
get into that? Because I haven't heard
sure.
it yet. I don't know what
Yeah,
John's going to unleash upon us.
yeah. You know, I wanted to give a caveat that I think I put in the hours, the days, and the years, and the money. I think I put in the time, obviously. I think I've showed total respect to the UFO community by telling you exactly what's going on, showing you things, showing you documents in real time, which I don't know any other researcher that did that. And I'm not drawing a distinction. That was just one of my hallmarks that I wanted to be with the UFO community: open, honest, completely opaque, or completely transparent, no opaqueness, and I think I did that. And with with that being said, I have a distinct problem with Lou Elizondo. I like Lou. I think he's a nice guy. Never met him. We've never talked, but he appears to be a decent guy. But I have a problem with Lou not being measured by the same yardstick that John Stewart is. Um, and people demanding that they see my evidence, but they don't see Lou's evidence bothers. It always has bothered. People demanding that John Stewart be very cautious about his evidence, but Lou can now show two hoaxed UFOs at lectures where he's getting paid, and there's no blowback. And I have a problem with that. And
There was a little blowback to that. He
well,
got
okay,
he did get some blowback.
meaning not from our community so much more as maybe like the people that are paying him. So yeah, there was a little blowback, but it's been nothing like the yardstick that I've been measured by. And I'm not crying, oh, mea culpa, or crying a river. But I think if we want Lou to prosper in his disclosure journey, I think it's important for the UFO community to demand Lou do what David Grush has done. David Grush came forward, claimed he could not show any evidence because he was under security agreements, did a couple of podcasts, and he left. He's going, that's it. He
You think
understands that
Lou
he
should
doesn't.
just sail off into the sunset?
No, but by God, if you don't have any evidence or video, how long can the story go where it's just your word against someone else? And if you're going to do that, and that's fine, I think there should be a lot of caveats before
Well,
you
he did
start
get those
speaking.
videos released, the
Oh, well,
Nimitz
that
and
this is
the
the
Go
whole story.
Fast.
Well, this is the story that we're going to talk about that I think is going to. I think this is going to break the internet.
Okay, okay,
So
let's
whatever
get
you
into
want.
it.
Let me take a sip of water. So um, I'm going to be very careful here because I've already been admonished. I know, shocking. John Stewart gets yelled at. But yesterday I got called from a person who might be a national reporter. It might be a reporter, an investigative journalist for a media outlet, whether that's print or electronic. And I'm being vague, of course, because I was told to be. Not going to say uh, they're female or male. And I was asked a question, like they introduced themselves, of course. We seen you on the internet, and we'd like to like to talk about something and get your input. And they started off with, how do you think? Or I'm sorry, they started off with, I think it's fair to assume that any video from a HUD FLIR mounted camera on a fighter jet and the object is allegedly going almost the speed of sound and they don't know what it is, would be classified top secret. And I said, yeah, of course, not really thinking about the Tic Tac Go Fast video. And they said, well, could you answer, because we can't get an answer from anybody, well, how could that video walk out of the Pentagon? And I'm in my car driving and I'm doing scratching my head. And I'm like, well, you know, uh, wouldn't they release it to Secretary of Defense Mellon? And someone said, well, he wasn't the Secretary of Defense at that time. You still can't let cabinet level people walk out of a government building with top secret film or data or photographs or documents and then show them to the public. And running for Congress and for governor, I know what this is leading to. This is a gotcha interview, but I'm not the gotcha. It's the people involved with the Tic Tac or the Go Fast video.
Well, I can give you my information on how those videos got out, but
Okay.
let's keep on going. Keep on going.
So that was their first question, their first thesis, their first foray into the how could Dopser or someone else have those let a top secret video out, and we all can think what we have been told or Lou or this or that. I'm sorry, top secret documents are not let out and then put on the New York Times. This is what their thesis is. Secondly, and I've got so much stuff running through my head, so bear
Yeah,
with me.
I'll have to give my rebuttal after
Of
this.
course, of course. I'm just telling you what
Yeah,
a
okay.
reporter
I
was
got to
telling me
defend
yesterday.
Lou a little bit.
Lou's not the. This is interesting. Lou isn't the bad guy here, so to speak. Lou is the dupe almost. So, with that being said, they said we have information that Chris Mellon, who with good intentions wanted information released, and they, again, folks, this is what was told to me. I don't have a clue about this story, but I want to share it with you. That Chris Mellon wanted just, some disclosure, something to leak out, and that I don't know who they found a obscure video that was in question, a blurry object, which it was, and something that people are saying was going extremely fast. And these journalists or reporters are saying that it was never top secret. It was who knows? And the Pentagon, this is what they were saying, never classified it as top secret because there's no way it could have left the Pentagon as top secret without Chris Mellon in handcuffs in the windbreaker and the perp walk. And I kept listening. I'm like, okay. And I said, well, let's get to the nut of this. And they said, again, knowing that there were good intentions, that Mellon and Bigelow, okay, Bigelow Aerospace, duped Lou into leaving the government. Oh, you're going to make movies, you're going to write books, you're going to be the top UFO guy, you're going to be the Bob Lazar, or you're going to make a lot of money. They have somebody on record that has Lou saying, I just want to write books. I want to, make documentaries. There's anything wrong with that. But Chris Mellon fucked me, and Bigelow screwed me, and Tom DeLonge to some degree, to the Stars Academy. Just what I was told. And I'm like, oh my God. And Lou was
There's
basically
audio of Lou saying that.
no. There's a source claiming that Lou was saying that he
Okay.
got screwed by Mellon and Bigelow. The money dried up, so on and so forth. And that's when Lou started to. Oh my God! I just got a text from the New York Times, but it was like an advertisement. It's a little weird. That they duped him that he was going to get money and riches and fame, and they basically pulled the plug. And that this is interesting. This is interesting. That Bigelow and Chris Mellon, from what I was told, orchestrated basically a marketing campaign with a non-top secret video to drum up interest in America, dupe Ralph and Leslie of the New York Times, and then have them sell this to the New York Times so that Mellon and Bigelow could go to Bigelow's, this is what they were saying, to Bigelow's golfing buddy, Senator Harry Reid, and get $22 million for a pet project of two millionaires, because millionaires don't use their own money, which is true. A pet project by two millionaires involving esoteric subject matter like UAPs and UFOs and Skinwalker, and they were naming off a plethora. And they said, we think the American people, and I wrote this on MySpace, we think the American people would have umbrage to that. I mean, all of us would love a pet project funded by Congress, right? I mean, of course we would. And who is Bigelow and Mellon to have their pet project allocated $22 million for? $22 million that could have went for homeless shelters, for homeless veterans. $22 million that could have went for after-school programs in Philly, Detroit, Chicago. All valid points. I mean, I was in my car going, that is true. That is true. And that this congressional back scratching, I won't say a scheme, but operation by Mellon and Bigelow, needs to be known by the public, that they use this non-classified video, allegedly, as a marketing campaign to tell Harry Reid, look, everyone's interested. The New York Times are on it. It's out there now. You have to give us the money, or continued money. And then I guess there was.
Yeah, because the LSAP funding was years earlier.
I'm just telling you what they told me, that they want to continue funding and so on and so forth, that this was drying up, and maybe that the Go Fast video was another resurgence, or another shot in the arm. And what was the last thing? And then I told you about Lou, claiming that he got screwed. Oh, and then they said, and again, I'm in my car, so and I don't know anything about this story, so I can't really I can't really delve into it with these people on the phone because I really, it's like talking calculus to me. But that there was a problem with To the Stars, and they threw out a number that DeLong lost 300,000, and that was his limit of the money he was going to take out of pocket. And they were throwing around financial malfeasance and stuff like that, and which I don't know, but I just think that if this story gets out there or does get out there, that I think the people should know this. I agree with them, and it bothers me that this could have been done. And again, they called it a marketing campaign, which I thought was a really interesting analogy, and agree with it if that's what it was. And taking out a video to perpetuate more money from Congress and whatnot. And so that was told to me. And I said this on the space. I'm like, I didn't even barely say anything to him. I didn't know what to answer because I didn't know anything about the space. I just said, I did the Daniel Sheehan when Daniel and I talked for an hour. Daniel Sheehan went, because I didn't know much, but so I wanted to give you the scoop, or so to speak. Again,
Sure,
I
yeah,
don't know
no,
anything.
thanks.
I don't know anything about this, but I think it's interesting that people are now on the trail, so to speak. I don't know. I just think it's something that's going to percolate out there.
let me ask you, you talk about this reporter. How credible do you think this person is?
Well, I've heard of the media outlet before. I don't know who the person. I don't know. I don't know reporters.
Okay.
They sounded credible. It was two people on a speakerphone. So they sounded like they knew their shit. That's my opinion. I don't know anything about the Go Fast. I then, after this happened this morning, someone sent me where NASA said it was going 43 miles per hour. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is getting interesting, or not interesting because I don't care about it, only about the money. But it is now. I'm like, well, geez, maybe this does have legs. That they brought out a video, not of a almost speed of sound craft, but a craft that was going 43 miles an hour. And I look down and I see the waves, and they're not blurry. I sent it to a former naval aviator who's helped me on the alien investigation, and he's like, speed is almost the speed of sound. He's like, I don't care how high up it was in the sky. He's like, I flew fighter jets. No, not the speed of sound. So
Yeah, I don't think.
That's it.
I think there's
That's
a
it.
lot of dispute about how fast the Go Fast was, and a lot of people think it was
Well,
actually.
NASA used trigonometry, Jack. I think that's
Sure. Okay, but
but
the important takeaway isn't how fast it was going, it's that there's no visible means of propulsion. We don't know what this thing was or how it was moving, so it's anomalous in that way.
yeah. And no heat
But
signature too, right? If that
yeah,
or
something
that's
like
yeah,
that, something like
yeah,
that.
something
Yeah.
like
But as far as like how the videos got out of the Pentagon, here's my understanding because
that. I'm listening. Yeah.
I've heard like a few different versions of this,
Okay.
and I don't know which is the correct version, but the
Sure.
version that I think that sounds the likeliest is that Lou wanted to get these videos out, likely in coordination with Chris Mellon and ATIP, or excuse me, with TTSA. And that Lou got these classified videos listed as unclassified for interoffice sharing. We don't know what this object is. It could be a drone. Let's talk about it. Let's declassify it so that we can share it between agencies. But then that made it so that they could get this out. And they had some other party helping them that I think has ultimately delivered that to Chris Mellon in the parking lot. So it was all, it was very sneaky, but it was legal. And that's why nobody was arrested or in handcuffs. It was very clever how they did it, according to that version of the story. But there was no illegality, but there was definitely intention and a plan in place to get that out.
I ran for Congress twice. I have friends that are senators, and I just, after the Pentagon realized that a eyes only top secret video was leaked out, I don't know. I agree that that's probably a very valid reason, and I would just say again, folks, I'm not on this story. I'm just trying to respect the UFO community and tell you what I was told, as I always do. But um, but if you're letting a video get out, or you're putting a video out that is so blurry or so um, unknown, and you know that it is, and you know that it's not, that it might not be a alien aircraft, it's you know, that's where I raise my
Well,
eyebrow.
supposedly there's
I'll
like
stop talking.
4K
I'll stop.
4K versions of this stuff somewhere. Where is that? I would love to see the good
Okay.
quality
But
gimbal
when
on
you
real
leak
fast.
something out and you don't have any caveat emptors, that does, I'm sorry, I've got to be the devil's advocate. That does lead reporters like this to conclude, you're trying to, you're trying to not pull a fast one on the public or Harry Reid, but you're not being completely, um, you're not being completely open about what the nature of this film is. It was not released to the American public, and the reporters are right that we've got this blurry video, and it could be a drone, it could be whatever. I'm just saying, I could see how these people have started on the hunt. So whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know there's a whole side of ufology that's not a big fan of Lou, and
Yeah.
they find ways to go after him. I'm a
Yeah,
fan
well,
of
they're not
Lou,
going
but
after Lou. They're actually calling him a useful dupe. That he
well,
got
it's
duped.
not
Which
much better.
yeah,
But
right. Well, I met, I'd rather be called a dupe than a conspirator.
well,
My
yeah,
opinion.
okay. I guess that's true enough. You don't want to be a criminal.
Yeah, I don't want to indict Lou here. It sounds like Lou got screwed over.
Well, he did get a TV show out of it ultimately, whatever
Well,
screwing he got.
that's interesting. They're they. I don't. I'm going to show you right now how ignorant I am. Did Lou make a couple of documentaries that never were shown?
If so,
They
I
were
haven't seen him.
they asked me that, did Lou make some documentaries that were so bad they had to can them? What was the name of the production company? Cartel. They said, "Do you know Cartel Productions?" I'm like, "Never heard of them." They're like, "Oh, well, Lou made two documentaries. They're so bad, or the production companies, did botched them. They were so bad they were never shown." I don't know if that means anything. I'm just saying that you're triggering memories of the conversation. So that was interesting. And yeah, I mean, maybe this will all work out for Lou, but I think it's notable that a independent source has told these reporters that Lou was going around, I believe in 17, but I'm not sure, that Mellon and Bigelow, F me. So interesting. But
Well, no,
it is what it is.
John, that's super juicy, and
Yeah,
if we could get some corroboration on that from somebody, that'd be very interesting, behind the scenes drama
yeah,
about what was really going on
yeah,
back in the day at TTSA
yeah.
and those people.
And you know
But
what? When I emailed TTSA in 19, I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry, but when I emailed TTSA, I think back in 20, I did just get an email back. Uh, would you like to give us money? you know, what did the Watergate reporters, and what is the old saying? Follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. So, but
well,
we'll see what happens with this. I just wanted to relate it to your viewers,
no,
and
no,
because I
no,
thought it
that's
was an
juicy,
interesting
man.
story.
Thanks for sharing that.
Welcome.
Whatever I think about it, let's get the viewers' opinions on it. Well, what do you
Yeah,
guys think about all of that?
yeah,
And yeah, but thank you for sharing that with me and giving me the scoop on that story. I appreciate it.
no problem. And
Uh,
remember, this is what was told to me by two reporters on speakerphone, and I don't know anything about the fast moving. So don't yell at Jon Stewart again, like a lot of people do. I thought this was an interesting enough story with some legs after I researched it a little bit to come on your show and tell the
no,
viewers.
no, that's great, man. That's great. I love it. I love it. And but okay, so getting back to the alien interview documentary, that's coming out on Thanksgiving Day. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's
It just
correct.
any time throughout the day, 8
Well,
a.m.,
I'm
8
going to
p.m.
change the release from 7 o'clock Central Time at night to, like, 8 in the morning, or sometime in the morning. So I'm going to do that, and I've got about as much technical expertise as I become like the clown of the cast network, constantly calling tech support and asking all these questions. But I've never done this before, so I'm learning. I'm learning too. But yeah, I think I'm gonna let them show it earlier in the day than at 7 o'clock at night. So, and it's a homage to pro wrestling. That I was once a pro wrestler. That on Thanksgiving night was traditionally a very big night in the wrestling industry. A lot of big events and shows. So I was releasing it on Thanksgiving, just an homage to my previous career. And I tell people in the beginning, and I'm being completely serious and honest. This isn't a Netflix sweeping epic. We had a very limited budget, but what we lacked in grandiosity, we make up for in content. And I believe, and I'm saying this firsthand because I have been watching documentaries since the early 70s. I believe it's going to be one of the first documentaries ever that will give you a conclusion. You will not shut this off and say, oh, I wish we would have known. I wish he would have named. No, I name Victor. I give you his bio. I name all the men in the viewing room allegedly watching this being. I tell you about the being. I tell you about Project Aquarius. We tell you the dates. We show you the emails. We show you the list from the DIA, the unauthorized viewing memo, retranscribed. I've left nothing on the table because I hated when I was a viewer for the past 50 years, where I would always say, we never find the missing girl. They never show us Bigfoot. We never see inside the alien craft. We still don't know what the Bermuda Triangle is. Am I right? I think your viewers would agree with me. I hate loose ends. I hate shows and documentaries that don't give you a finality and a conclusion. And I am so proud that the producers, myself, my team, that we will show you the nuts and bolts, and we will have a finality to this documentary. And that is the thing to understand.
No, I love it. There's too many shows that would have, if the question was hunting for Victor, who is Victor? The finale would be like,
Right,
well, I guess we'll never know.
right, right.
But you actually name names and show Victor, and
Yeah.
you show the progression of this whole thing. Now, are you the director?
No, the director is Fred Uter, who's done about 3 documentaries before. This is done through Wingstop Productions. I was one of the producers, of course, and I helped edit it. Help meaning like my input. And believe me, this is, even though it's a conversation. The host is Michael Carter from Ancient Aliens, the Reverend Michael Carter. Um, Even though it's not a sweeping epic, we've got great B-roll. I mean, we just show you documents, videos, voiceovers. We've got Nico. Um, we've got Chris Todd going on there. I explain my whole relationship with Rick Doty, which is pretty interesting. And we had some people tear up at the end. I did a kind of an homage to the Breakfast Club at the end. That's all I'm going to say. And we had a couple of people who viewed this already that got a little. My agent's like, my agent that got misty eyed, but my agent was like, it's sad. It's like your journey with it is over, and so I'm going to be interested to hear people's reactions, especially at the end in my homage to the Breakfast Club.
I love it. I can kind of picture, don't you forget about me,
It's about it.
the
It's
picture of
about it.
the
You
poor
got it.
being.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Think the end of Civil Action with John Travolta and the Breakfast Club, and you've got the ending. But again, I'm just so damn proud that I show you one of the telepathic monks, an artist rendition, because we had a year of negotiation to show him, so we had to kind of conceal his identity. But so that took some time with the artist rendition. The names on the list. We show you who they are. I tell you that what everyone in the internet's been wondering: who is the one doctor whose widow I talked to? We talk about him. We bring up Bob Lazar and John Lear and how they fit into this, and we really start from the beginning when John Lear in 1987 went to George Knapp and said, "There's an alien interview film floating out there," and I think people will be really surprised and pleased that I started from the beginning. The first time somebody said alien interview film, and take it from to 2024. So I'm not hyping it. I'm just saying On content, we hit it out of the park.
No, man, I think this is an important event that happened and probably still ongoing, an important program that we need to know about. Most people weren't taking that video seriously
No,
until you came along. And I think a lot more people are taking it seriously now, and there's more every day. And this video is going to blow it, open to even more people.
I hope so.
You could go home, have some turkey, have some pie, then, put on this video for your uncle, I love it. I think
And
it's.
Jack Cotters is in the video, is in the documentary. Your picture
Am I
and
in the video?
in the picture, and how you and that you hooked me up with Nico and stuff. Yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's. I don't thumb my nose at anybody. I don't thumb my nose at the government. I actually, again, look in the camera at the end and do a mea culpa to the government. Like, come on, please, let's get this out. Let's end this secrecy. And will it move the needle? Maybe it will. Who knows? Who
Well,
knows?
maybe there'll be another video for you to come along after this that you have to
Possibly.
investigate.
Let's hope not too soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, John. Everybody go check it out. What's the website where they can go to take a look at it?
Yeah, to buy the pay per view, and you can stream it at any time after Thanksgiving. It'll be available for 52 weeks. I didn't really communicate that well to people, and it's on streaming cloud, so you could watch this in Australia, Jakarta, Indonesia, Europe. It's on the cloud, so you can just watch it on your computer via the cloud. And it's at huntingvictor.com. You'll see the pay per view link, and it's $8. We really priced it to the point where we thought that we weren't hurting anyone's pocketbook, and I will be available with my email to answer anyone's questions after this documentary, which again I have never heard anyone do, unless you want to pay $40 to hear him lecture. But I will be available for a year to answer any questions from anyone. Follow up about this documentary. I owe that to the community, and I will make sure that I do that.
Well, that's an amazing engagement, commitment, and amazing
Yeah.
transparency, and I love it. Is there anything else people should know before we ring off today?
Help! No, I'm just, I'm just glad it's over. My family's glad it's over. This was 5 years. I'm not complaining, but it was just, it was an ordeal. I'm glad I survived it. I went up against the government. I went up against Hollywood. I went up against the UFO community, the special effects community, and I stood there with the help of so many people, uh, and went toe to toe and went to the final bell. And oh my God, I'm going to get choked up. I can't believe this. Oh my God. But yeah, I made it to the conclusion, and I'm proud of that. And Jack, I really want you to know, you and your viewers to know this. I couldn't have done any more in the documentary to adulate the people on the internet who I am so grateful for, who have been so helpful for me on every level, whether it's encouragement, whether it's feeding me leads, which happened all the time. We broke the biggest story in ufology, in my opinion, the OPNAC BBS space, where was in that 1954 manual. It was done by a college kid and done by an Italian researcher. The internet was my co-pilot. I use that analogy, and I hope it comes across in the documentary how God blessed appreciative I am of everyone on the internet. You are as much a part of the success of this documentary as I am, and I don't want you to ever forget that. And I love you all very dearly, and I hope you have a great holiday season. And thank you for allowing me, this blowhard former wrestler, to come out for 5 years and talk to you. I know it's not easy. I'm not an easy personality sometimes, but I appreciate you giving me the forum. And Jack, you've become a great friend, and I appreciate it. And I wish everyone a great finish to 2024.
Love it, John. Well, happy Thanksgiving.
You too.